Hey everyone, welcome back to Anime Sekai Podcast. I'm Mikan.
And I'm Ichigo.
Join us this week as we discuss the anime movie Maboroshi. Hey guys,
What's up, guys? Welcome back.
welcome back.
Hey, hey, hey.
So, this week we have another anime movie review,
Yay.
Maboroshi.
Maboroshi.
It's actually, I would say, a fairly recent movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it was done by MAPPA. So, it came out last year, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
By beloved Mappa. And for those of you who've never seen it, it's about a boy named Masamune who is a third year middle school student. And he lives in a town where all the exits have been sealed off due to a sudden explosion at a steel mill, causing time to stand still. And residents are forbidden from making any changes and spend their suffocating days in the hopes of returning to normalcy someday. And then one day, Masamune's mysterious classmate, Mutsumi, guides him to the fifth furnace of the steel mill, where they encounter a girl who cannot speak and resembles a wild wolf. The meeting between the two girls and Masamune disrupts the balance of the world, and the unstoppable impulse of love from boys and girls, tired of their daily lives, begins to destroy the world. So I know this was on my to be watched for a long time,
Yeah,
but
you recommended this to me.
yeah, because I did see it on Netflix. Oh, so yeah, so for those of you who do wanna watch it, it is on Netflix,
Mm-hmm.
and I did see that it was when it first came out, I was like, "Oh, it looks so pretty," and I've been seeing trailers everywhere because I know it's, like, Mappa's movie, and it looked absolutely beautiful,
Right.
but I'm curious to know 'cause I know I don't know if you did you know about this movie before I said anything about it or no?
So I did see it kind of pop up on Netflix. And I remember kind of looking at the trailer and thinking, oh, this is too sci-fi for me. I'm not gonna watch this.
Mhm.
But when you recommended it, I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a chance." But I feel like it's too sci-fi,
Yeah.
so I'm just gonna watch it and then give my honest opinion because I don't really do a whole lot of sci-fi. Um,
Mhm.
I was pleasantly shocked. Pleasantly shocked at the fact that it wasn't sci-fi. Like, I promise you
Yeah.
that trailer made it a lot more sci-fi than I thought it was going to be. Like, in my
Yeah.
head, it was on the lines of, like, a sci-fi mecha type anime, and I think it's because
Oh, mecha
yeah,
even.
I don't even know where I got that, but I was like, it's not really up my alley."
Like your genre, yeah.
Mhm. But it was totally my genre, y'all, this is a
Yeah, it was.
romance.
I feel like if anything, it actually turned out to be more your genre than what I would
Exactly.
normally watch.
This was 100% up my alley,
Mhm.
and I was pleasantly surprised. So thank you for making me watch this
I am
because
glad, I'm glad. I'm not gonna lie, I did think I knew it was a little bit romance in there, but I didn't think that was, like, a major theme per se,
Yeah.
as much as it was, so I was kinda I was it wasn't a bad surprise, but I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, yeah. The way the movie played out, I will say
Mhm.
confused me at first.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I'm right there with you. It it's definitely it's kinda interesting, like, I don't know if I would say eerie, but it has, like, this cute, but yet particularly in the beginning, it does I feel like it had that eerie vibe to it and
Mhm.
coloring.
Yeah.
Um, of course, it's MAPPA, so, like, the animation was, like, absolutely beautiful.
Girl, whew.
It was gorgeous, like, there it was so fluid, which is what, like, made me wanna watch it when I first saw the trailer,
Mhm.
because they just look so fluid and the colors, like, oh, of course, MAPPA, what do I expect? I don't expect anything less.
I actually didn't
But
know Mappa was
overall
doing this until
Oh,
I
really?
didn't know it was a Mappa movie until,
Uh-huh.
like, I started watching it and that big
And then it
Mappa
came
popped
back.
up and I was
Yeah.
like, "Wait a
Yeah.
minute."
I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of the only reason why I wanted to watch the movie because it was MAPPA.
But I will say after I saw that, I was like, "Oh lord, this is gonna break my heart again. Here we go." I was like, "I cannot watch anything from MAPPA, okay? Because they just like to torture you and your
They kinda do.
emotions."
Yeah, they do.
Well, I was pleasantly surprised, like,
I'm
pleasantly
glad.
surprised. I enjoyed it. Interestingly, as I watched it, my husband walked in the room and he goes, "Oh, what are you watching?" And I said, "Oh, I'm watching this Netflix movie, Maboroshi." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, I've seen that." I was shocked that he has seen it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was like, "Oh, yeah, I watched that not too long ago. How did I finish an anime movie before you did?" And I was like,
Wow.
I don't know. And did you like it?" He was like, "Oh, yeah, it was really good."
I'm
I
surprised.
was really
I
surprised.
I guess 'cause it's on Netflix and it's, like, easily accessible. It's kinda
Mhm.
like, "Oh, well, it's right there."
But I feel like once, like, all the romance started to kick in and stuff like that, I
Yeah,
feel like with him, he would've just stopped it
I
and wouldn't
see.
have finished it, but he actually said he finished it.
It's almost got this it's, like, weird enough, like, particularly in the beginning, it has that weird feel, like, you know how they are like, oh, even, like, when Masamune's like, one of the first things he says, I think, is, "Whenever whatnot, we always play games that hurt us or
Mhm.
sting us," or whatever he said, and then
Yeah.
it just kind of felt weird, and then I feel like halfway through, you're just like, "Well, I'm already invested in this. I gotta finish."
Yeah. I wanna say for me when, um, Sagami
Mhm.
was introduced and started talking,
Yeah.
and when he was like, "Okay, can you explain what's going on?" And he had kinda, like, been talking to himself and kinda hyping himself up because I assumed, okay, he's nervous, he's not used to talking in front of a big crowd of people and explaining what's going on,
Mhm.
and he got up there and he started spewing like, "The gods have saved
Yeah.
us, like, they protected us." I was like, "Whoa." This took an immediate left turn,
Uh-huh. I mean, even, like
and at that point, I was
yeah.
like, "He the crazy dude in this movie." I was
He
like
kind of already was, yeah.
his
Cause
screws is loose all the way, so,
yeah. Cause I was
like, they falling out.
yeah. No, cause I thought, like, the whole journey would be I didn't know it was, like, a time break, time loop, whatever you wanna call this, but I didn't realize that was sort of like I honestly thought it was like a girl falling from the sky or something something like that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I was already surprised from the beginning how they all seemed to know that there was, like, a shift in their reality or
Mhm.
whatever happened. So, I was just like, "Oh." But okay, this before I forget, this is something I had to bring up because so they don't physically change throughout.
Yes.
They're stuck in, I don't know, some other dimension or something. And that one lady in the beginning, they show her, the pregnant lady, I was like, "Imagine being
Bro,
pregnant for years." I was like, I felt that woman had one scene, and I already felt for her.
she had 2 scenes because she showed up close to the end where she was pushing an empty
Yeah,
stroller.
yeah, yeah.
Bro, that whole
That
thing
hurt my
took me
soul.
out. I'm sorry. That's probably where Mappa woulda got me because 'cause I'm like, "You mean to tell me that you have been stuck as a 14-year-old boy, and everybody is stuck in that town and
Mhm.
has been stuck in that town for who knows how long, which means this lady I know once like, let's say she's 6 months pregnant, okay? I know for a fact once the next few months in her head, she's like, "Okay, here's I'm in my last trimester." And the baby didn't come, and then at, like, a year later, and she's still pregnant, I would've been hot. I'm sorry, I would have been hot. If it was me, I'd have been like, "Somebody, anybody,
Get this
please."
baby out of here. Please.
I really felt for her. That hurt my whole soul
Yeah, and also you can't
because
meet your baby too, which is like when she
I
was pushing the stroller, that's
know,
so sad.
and the whole time I was like, "This lady is desperate to meet her baby."
Mhm.
And at this point, everybody is believing what Sagami is
Yeah.
telling like, spewing, and he's like, "Oh, well, once you please the guys, then he'll release us from this basically like, not illusion, but, like, from this reality, and then we'll all go back to the normal world."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay, but how far in the future would you guys shift?
Yeah, like, would it combine back? Yeah, I feel like this kinda time break is always hard to explain. It's just it becomes
Mhm.
really complicated, but, in my mind, I just viewed it as, like, they're kind of, like, already gone, they're already dead, they're in like, a different timeline, and reality
Mm.
has just kept going,
Yeah,
and so I'm
yeah.
like, but I guess there can't really be in my opinion, the way it ended is kind of how I saw it, where it would just end where they're kind of still stuck in a way, which I wasn't really sure because you know how in the end she fell and she got injured and supposedly they can't really get her?
Yeah.
Um, so I was like, Are they in another timeline moving on or not?" The only thing is I just didn't like how open-ended they left it. It was just I don't know, there was like a lot of whiplash for me.
Yeah, towards the end, I did feel like it was not necessarily rushed, but I felt like there was a lot of things that could have been explained
Mhm.
a little bit better. I what I honestly wanted to happen at the very end, mind you, I understand that time has shifted, and so the reality that Mutsumi and Masamune are experiencing is completely different than Itsumi's reality that she came from,
Yeah.
right? So it's like way, way, way in the future. And what I honestly wanted to happen was when Itsumi got on the train and was holding on to that like little whistle
Mhm.
thing. I honestly wanted her once she got out of the tunnel to be like somehow transported back into time.
Uh-huh, and be a little girl and then meet her parents, like
Yes.
yes, I am right there
And
with
the fact
you.
that that didn't happen, I was
Yeah.
like, "So you mean to tell me she grew up in that alternate reality?
Mhm.
She gets sent back to present day for her. Like, how does she reunite with her parents? Because she is on the phone with them,
Yeah.
but at this point, she doesn't have any memory of them. She doesn't know their names. And when she arrives back, and now mind you, her memories could have came back and it could have just been a split second and I missed it. But mind you, it feels like she still was in that like childlike state where she couldn't really speak.
Yeah,
She didn't have any of her memories from when she was a child, obviously. And even if she did, her childhood memories are going to be of that alternate universe. It's not going to be of her mom and her dad.
exactly.
And number three, like, she's under a different name. Like, she doesn't even know her real name at this point.
Oh, wait, they did give her name though. Um,
They gave her a name,
yeah,
but they did not call her
that
by that
by
name
that
until
name,
the
but I
end.
think technically, I mean, she had her backpack with her, but, like, still but my
But
question
not when she got back on the train.
yeah, I'm assuming she might have already learned her name by then? I don't
No,
know.
they kept calling her Itsumi. That's why I'm like, how does this little girl know what or yeah, I mean, she's a little
But they
girl,
coulda told her
whatever,
her
but
real name, I guess.
nah, bro, they kept calling her Itsumi until the very end.
Yeah, no, they did, but technically yeah, I don't know why they gave her another name if she already had the name, which
I
I
mean,
don't
my
know.
thing is, I guess because they had been calling her Itsumi for so long that even
Yeah.
though when they found out her name was Saki, they were like, "Yeah, no, we just gonna call you
Yeah.
Itsumi," because that's what the little girl had gotten used to.
Yeah. But also my I what I didn't understand was I get it, they've been there for years, right? And my
Mhm.
thing is she grew, like, physically, but
Yeah.
why didn't she grow mentally? That's why I didn't understand, like, how long was she there? Was her body just, like, growing exponentially, like, fast versus, like, her mental ability? How many
I
years
mean,
were
but
they
she was
there?
by herself most of the time.
Was it just because of that? I guess, yeah, she didn't get, like, a
Yeah, I think it was, Mutsumi was put in charge of watching her, and Mutsumi was like, "I did not want to
yeah,
get
get
close
close
to
to
her."
her.
So she was basically like she wasn't teaching her how to really speak.
Mhm.
She wasn't teaching her how to, write or do pretty much
Anything,
anything
yeah.
for herself other than maybe go to the bathroom on her own, and that was pretty much it. Like, when Masamune first is introduced to her, the little girl, like, jumps on him
Yeah,
and is, like,
she's
hugging him and
like he
stuff,
explained,
like
she's like a little wolf.
exactly, which means she didn't have any body that was an adult that was basically take supposed to take care of her
Yeah.
in a way. And now I don't know at what point in time, like how long they had been stuck in this alternate universe
Probably, well,
before
according to her, like,
Saki.
physical, probably, like, a decade.
But what I'm saying is, I don't know how long it took. Like, how long had Mutsumi been stuck in that 14-year-old body
Oh, well,
before she started interacting with Saki? Because it wasn't immediate.
oh, yeah. I don't
You
know,
know
but
what
they
I
must have been
mean?
there for a decade if she grew like, that big. And then on
While she
top
was
of
there,
that,
yeah.
yeah, and then on
While she
top of
was there,
that,
yes.
mhm,
But I'm saying the time frame between when they found her, how long had they
yeah,
been reliving that same alternate universe?
yeah. I mean, it has to
Because
be.
by then, Mutsumi was like, I mean, I'm reliving my days as a 14-year-old, but in reality, I'm like 25, 26.
Yeah. No, they've been living. I'm assuming they've been living for a long time because, yeah, she grew up in the time
Yeah.
that they found her, so it must have been so long.
Which that is the number one red flag. They were like, okay, this little girl's actually growing here, which means she's in reality.
Mhm,
Like,
yeah.
she's
She's,
not
like, the
supposed to
only
be
one.
here.
Yeah.
I love the fact that Masamune's dad was like the number one person to find that out. He was like,
Yes.
we need to send her back.
You know, I really like the part where they're reading, the dad's diary towards the end when they
Mm.
first find Itsumi, like, as a child, and they talk about, like, how she's a she's a real girl from the real world, and they discuss, like, as a
Mhm.
woman, if she grows also, like, I don't know how they figured this out, but, like, if she grows and continues, like, to feel emotionally moved, there could be, like, catastrophe, and I just like how they had these, like, Sagami, like, had a different idea of, because she was chosen by God or whatever he says, she has to stay pure, like, her heart can't be moved, because that would defile her, so he wanted to lock her away, and I just like the notion that there's just some people that want to, like, stay in time and not change at all,
Mhm.
but then the dad goes on to explain, which was really sweet, that because of this world, like, that they're stuck in, he was able to meet his grandchild. Because in the real world, he probably would have been dead. So it gave him
I think
hope knowing that there's, like,
yeah.
a beautiful future out there, and I was like, "Oh, that was so sweet."
Yeah. And he also saw the shift in his son.
Yeah.
Like, before they got stuck in that alternate reality, his son was drawing, but he wasn't good.
Yeah.
But then as time continued to grow, his son continued to get better and better and better at drawing, and his dad noticed that. So he was like, there's obviously a shift, and if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, eventually you're going to get good at it.
Yeah. And I feel like that was sort of like a what is it? Like, the what's that called? The not the purpose of the movie, but like a lesson in a sense. In my opinion,
Yeah.
it felt like the movie was trying to show that life isn't essentially about, like, searching for happiness or control, but it's lived through experience and changing and growing. And
Right.
especially that scene where he talks about getting or drawing simply for the fact that he loves it and because he wanted something to show for it, even though technically it won't amount to anything in the future, but it was just for him to change and be better.
Right.
And I thought that was really
Right.
sweet.
Well, and I also like the shift in everybody's thought process.
Mhm.
In the beginning, everybody's like, oh, well, when we get out, we're just trapped here. When we get out and when we go back to reality, then we can go back to our daily lives
Yeah.
to, okay, we're not getting out of this reality. So it doesn't matter what we do, to, we know we're not going to get out of this reality.
Yeah.
So every single day is different, which means we get another chance to try and be better
Mhm.
and do something different that we wouldn't normally do because we're trapped in here anyway, and
Yeah.
it's technically not gonna matter.
One thing I didn't really understand was, like, the cracking.
Mhm.
I didn't really get, like, when exactly did people start when they gave up or when they wanted something to change? Like, I didn't really understand that notion.
Well, how they explained it in the movie was when their soul had given up, I guess, which
Mm.
to me almost sounded like when their soul had accepted the reality, which means they weren't going to change.
Okay.
They were just gonna stay the same, like or that they craved something that they knew that they weren't going to be able
Mhm.
to achieve because they were living in an infinite or well,
Like a
I'll
loop
say
or
infinite
yeah.
reality. Yeah, they
Yeah.
were living in a loop. They can't get older, they can't the kids can't ever go after their dreams.
Yeah.
The one pregnant lady technically can never
Oh,
have her
man.
baby because she's stuck in that reality, and I think at that point, it was more of like it could have been maybe they were giving up. I could see that as well as like, okay, well, if nothing's gonna change, then like why am I still here?
Mhm.
If I can never get to a reality,
Yeah.
why am I still here? It could have been a way of them giving up, but I
Well,
don't know. That's actually a good question. I feel like
yeah.
with the first girl, Sonobe,
Yeah.
hers was like it felt like with her it was a I'm giving up.
Okay.
Like I don't wanna be in this state
Stay anymore.
anymore.
Because Sagami was saying,
Mhm.
like, "Don't hope, don't have dreams, like, don't try to change, and then you won't be
Right.
taken or whatnot." So I was like, "Are they trying to change? Are they not?" But yeah, I could see, like, maybe depending on it could be both, either they're giving up or wanting something more than this loop could give them.
Yeah.
But can we talk about all the weird and complex relationships they got going on in this dang story? Like, the mom
Yes.
and the dad, but then the dad's brother, like the uncle dude, he was like in love with the mom. And then you got Masamune and
Yes.
the weird love triangle. I was like, what is going on with this family? Like,
When I tell you, I was like, "Okay." So, for a minute, I thought the uncle and the dad were the same person.
same. That confused me for a
Okay.
moment. Because they look identical, like in the beginning, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Well, not only that, when they did the flashback, I was like, "Why is he talking to his uncle like
And
that?"
saying uncle,
I'm
like I was
confused.
confused. Yeah, the wording too. I was like, wait, uncle? What? Wait, hold
I
I
was
thought
like,
that
"Wasn't
was
that your dad just a
yeah.
minute ago?"
I was really confused, and then in the end, they kind of explained it. I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Because both of them I'm
Yeah.
like, "Wait, why is he pining after his mom if that's his mom, like, and that's his dad?" I was like
Because they all went to school
yeah,
together,
and I was like,
and
"Oh, that's not the
when the
dad."
uncle said yeah, when the uncle said, "I had to play Cupid," I was like, "Ooh, he's in love," and he was mad at his
Mm,
brother because his brother ended up with the mom, and the uncle had a huge crush on the mom, probably growing up when they
yeah,
were all in school together, but he
exactly.
couldn't say anything. Ooh, I was like, "Okay, okay, I could see that, I could
Yeah,
see that.
and then the next
Alright."
generation, you got the parents and the kid in this
Ooh.
weird I was like, "What was the purpose of this triangle there for for, like, a hot moment?" You got
I don't know,
Masamune
but even
and
at the
Mutsumi and their
end
technical kid in another dimension who's kind of in love with their dad, or Masamune basically. Like, it's weird, but I guess
right,
it could also be, like, an innocent type of love in a way that she just simply felt left out because that is what she said. She felt left out from the
yeah,
2 people that she came to care about. And also, I think she's, like, too young mentally to really fully understand, like, the
what's
romantic
going
type of
on.
love.
Mhm. That's why she kept asking, like, what
Is
does
it?
love feel
Mhm.
like?" And then it's like, "Oh, well, love hurts." Okay, well, I hurt for Masamune, so that means I'm in love with him.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
But
How'd you feel about
it
that?
was
Like,
complicated. I was like, "This is a weird love catastrophe going on right
triangle
here."
thingy
Like,
twist.
I can't even like, yes, it was a triangle, but I liked the aspect of you try to figure out who liked who, even though nobody was really saying anything
Mhm.
outright in the beginning.
Yeah.
When Masamune was like, "I really hate Mutsumi with a fiery passion," I was like, "He like her."
Yeah. I mean, even one of my favorite scenes, where he kind of finally confesses and they're in that arcade or whatever. First of all,
Uh-huh.
that lighting, the coloring, like, the visuals for that scene was beautiful, and then they ran out in the
Beautiful.
snow and the rain coming down. Oh my god, I was like, "Wow, that's beautiful." But
And then they
I love that.
kissed, and
Yes.
the girl was like, "It's raining," and he goes, "I" like, basically, "I don't really care
I don't
about
really
that
care.
right now. I'm more interested
Let's
in
go, let's keep
this
going.
kiss."
Oh my god, that was funny.
My jaw dropped because
Okay, Masamune, okay.
that's your cue, bro, to
Mhm.
stop," and he was like, "Nah." We ain't gonna stop. We gonna keep going." I was like, "Oh, you guys are in the middle of the street."
Yeah.
So, but then, once reality started to break because Itsumi saw everything that was going on when reality was starting to break, I was like, "What if they keep this up and they both just disappear?"
Mhm.
Then Itsumi is gonna be really messed up because she's like, "Okay, reality just broke, and the 2 people that I felt left out with just completely disappeared in front of my eyes."
Yeah. Honestly, I wonder if, like, it would completely break. Is it, like, completely up to her, though? You know what I mean?
In the beginning, it seemed like it was.
Mhm.
Like, it was completely up to her, but towards the end of the movie, like, when she was on the train, I felt like it wasn't up to her at that point.
Yeah. I could
Like,
see
it's
that.
not a power that she was controlling in the first place,
Yeah, I could see that.
but they made it seem like she was. But when she was returned to her reality, then I don't know. At that point, I'm like, do they still have cracks? Like, do they still get
Yeah.
cracks? Do people still randomly just disappear?
Yeah. They really didn't explain that the end stuff, which kind of just left it a bit meh for me, that open-ended slash not figuring out.
Yeah. It's like, okay, well, now you imagine what happened.
Mhm.
My thing is when she got to the, I can't think of the name of the building, but when she got to the place where they were holding her, keeping her for a while,
Yeah.
she was like, oh, this is the place where I experienced my first heartbreak. And I was like, that was your mama and your daddy, bro.
Yeah, that was I mean, I guess it could be heartbreak in different ways, but yeah, that was really weirdly
Yeah.
worded. You know, I feel like recently we've been watching a lot of sort of time skip, time loop, time break movies since like even the
Mhm.
last review we did, like Tunnel to Summer, like Exit of Goodbyes. And then we did
Yeah.
like Every You I've Loved Before and its counterpart,
Uh-huh.
even Suzume. But you know what I realized? So this is a little off topic, but I realized every time I watch these movies, I'm brought back to one specific movie, which is Your
Uh-huh.
Name. And when Your Name first came out, obviously it was like super popular. It was extremely well loved and it was just like a beautiful story. But
Mhm.
I do think it deserved the hype, but it wasn't like, oh my God, I love this story for me. It was amazing, but I wasn't like 110% on board like everyone else was. But I
Mhm.
have to say, now that I've seen so many of these time skip, time break, time loop type of movies, every time
Mhm.
I finish them, I'm like constantly brought back to Your Name. And the
Yeah.
reason for that is, like, because I believe, like, how good that story actually was every time I watch other stories, like, the simplicity of it, and yet it's, like, beautifully written, and, like, the time loop that they do is, like, really well explained and just super simple.
Mhm.
Because this type of concept is, in my opinion, it's just it is fiction, so it's but it's also very complicated, so it just
Right.
sometimes makes stories really difficult to understand and not like, in almost like Maboroshi a bit. But,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know, like, when I finish this movie, it just gives me more respect for Your Name for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that because I feel like Your Name also, like, the storyline explained things a lot better,
Yeah.
and you weren't like, you didn't end the movie
Like, "Huh?"
having additional questions
Exactly.
or trying to figure out the connection between this thing and that thing,
Yeah.
or if there was a connection between this thing and that thing. Now, don't get me wrong, I actually do like movies where it kinda makes you think, "Okay, how if I were to end this, how would I have ended it?" Or, where the movie is a little bit more open-ended because it makes my imagination kind of run wild
Yeah.
to think about, like, "Okay, how what about this? What about this?" But the downside of that is then you're just kinda left feeling like something is unfinished,
Yes,
which
exactly.
is kinda how I felt a little bit with, the Tunnel to Summer, The Exit of Goodbyes, like, when they came out of the tunnel, I was like, "Okay, but how does it end?"
Yeah.
But movies like Maboroshi, I was like, "Okay, I get it." I kinda wish there were certain parts that were explained a little bit better,
Yeah.
but it definitely had a better explanation of a lot more things in this one than, like, some of the other movies that we've seen.
Mhm.
Now, the one thing I will say for Maboroshi that I was like, "Huh," was as she was walking through, she gets in the taxi and the taxi driver's like, "Oh, everybody here was spirited away, but that's just a local rumor."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay," cuz obviously if she has kept her memories, then she knows they were kind of spirited away, quote unquote. But when she goes into that factory that's like all shut down and everything, she sees the spray paints of like people saying, "We will never forget. Thank you so much." And then she sees Masamune's drawing
Uh-huh.
of little her and, well, I say little, 'cause I don't know how old she is at this point, but of her and Mutsumi. My thing is, when they were whisked away, were they somehow forced back into reality, or did they just
N
drop off the face of the
I
earth?
think they dropped off the face of the earth
Dang, that's messed up.
because I think that other timeline was already continuing, um, like, separately. So
Mhm.
I think those people, like, straight up just poofed.
Which is messed up because I'm like, well, then if that's the case, who left all of those spray painting
Oh, I think
signs?
those were actually, like, to represent, when the steel mill actually did explode, it was kinda like a thank you, goodbye. You know how people, like, write stuff like that when there's, like, a tragic accident or something? "We'll never
Right.
forget you." That I think that's what it was.
I get that, but who drew like Masamune would have been the only one to draw,
I think that was him. I think that he left it there.
but did he leave it from the alternate reality or did he leave it from
That's a good question.
when he was a kid? You
I
see what I'm
think I
saying?
think
Like
I
at
think
what point does it split?
I'm assuming, because they still lived in the area when they were or no, did they live in the area? I mean, they were reading the news
No.
about their old town in that newspaper scene when
Right.
he was so I'm not sure if they were actually living there or what.
I don't
Oh,
think
oh,
so.
wait, no, it has to be because they were in the house. They were, like, in the house that he was in, where the break was.
Oh, right, right, right.
Yeah, so I guess they were still living there, and I'm assuming he just drew, like, a little picture. That's what I took it as.
But what I'm saying is in this case, like this story has two separate realities,
Yeah,
right? At what point if they were split, then we don't see the actual reality that Masamune and Mutsumi experience as they get older.
yeah.
So, what I'm saying is, which version left the drawing?
I assumed
Is it the alternate reality
I assumed it was
version or
the
is it
real version that were still alive, yeah,
the real version?
after
See, I thought it was the ultimate
it
reality
could be too, I
version.
guess if they wanna, like, put it in, but I took it as, like, oh, when he got older, he just drew it, and then I have no idea, honestly, it could be it was really open-ended.
Yeah, what I took it as is because the taxi driver had mentioned pretty much half the town or however many people from the town
Mhm,
being spirited away, that when they left, like, the signs and stuff, because mind you, when the alternate reality was, like, breaking, the buildings didn't go away, the
yeah,
buildings stayed there. It was just shifted into,
yeah,
like, the new reality. So what I'm saying is, did alternate reality Masamune leave that picture, and then once alternate reality people all dropped off the face of the earth, what is left is what they drew.
what? I didn't quite get that.
So, what I'm saying is, let's say they all decided to go back to the factory, and they were just, like, spray painting, and, they all
In real
accepted
life,
it, and then they
right?
all get whisked away.
Oh,
No,
okay,
in alternate reality. They all get whisked away, and that alternate reality people, they kinda, quote, unquote, "drop off the
okay,
face of the earth." But when the alternate reality was breaking into reality, the building stayed
mhm,
there. So what I'm saying is what I think happened is alternate reality, they all left like a little thank you so much, we'll never forget you, da da da. And then somehow alternate reality broke. And fast forward now they're in reality. So the alternate reality, all them people dropped off the face of the earth. And so they technically disappeared.
mhm,
Okay. But because the buildings themselves don't disappear from the alternate reality, whatever they put on the buildings still stayed in reality once
mm.
reality hit. So when she goes back to those exact same spots and she sees the thank you and then like the we will never forget and then she sees that drawing. And I think when she sees that drawing, she's reminded of the people from the alternate reality who possibly disappeared.
Interesting. Yeah, it could be. I just thought of it as because they had that steel mill
I don't know.
explosion, right? And that kind of shook up their town and probably
Mhm.
made it deserted because they were saying they relied mainly on that. And a lot of small towns have like one major business. And if that goes down, then everything goes down. So I just saw it as
Yeah.
because that was the place where the tragedy happened. And I'm assuming a lot of people died there as well, like the dad.
Mhm.
Uh, they kind of people just left like these mementos and whatnot in the real world.
Ah,
And
yeah.
obviously that was a connection for her because it was, from the alternate reality. And I just saw it as she just went
Right.
there to just, reminisce or whatnot to remember her weird love triangle heartbreak and and saw the picture that probably her dad drew and left there.
I mean, I get that, but if that's the case, her dad would have drawn if it was like reality, her dad would have drawn her as a young
Yeah.
child,
Yeah.
not as a
Yeah.
grown person, and then Mutsumi would have been an adult, not
Yeah.
her 14-year-old self. That's what made me think it
Yeah,
it
I can
was
see
the
that.
alternate
I think
reality
they're
is
like trying to like
because
connect
of the drawing.
somehow with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
In like a cute little way, I guess.
I don't know, but I mean, yeah. But all in all, the movie was
I
great.
liked
I
it too.
really enjoyed
Honestly,
it,
it
like
wasn't what I expected, but like overall, I did like the movie. I thought it was, visually just beautiful. But would I rewatch it?
Mhm.
I'm not sure. I would recommend it for somebody who just maybe wants to watch something on a Friday night. But I
Yeah.
personally don't think I would rewatch it necessarily for
Um,
me.
I might just to see if I
Like
got
a
a
different
different
like a different like yeah, perspective kind
vibe
of. Hmm.
yeah, version, because with these types of movies, you can watch it 2, 3 times, and I feel like you would get something
Yeah.
different out each time that would explain something that you didn't see the first time you watched it. I
What
think
would
I
you rate
would.
it?
Ooh, um, probably
Okay, okay.
8.5.
I can see that.
Yeah, like, it was really good. There were still, like, a lot of confusing aspects and a lot of holes, but not to where it's so big to where I would
Yeah.
drop my rating real low, like, I
Yeah.
still
No,
enjoyed
I'm
it.
there with you. I feel like what did I think I gave Tunnel to Summer like 6.5 or something or 6. I would give this like 7.5, I would say. Like I thought it was
Mm,
better and overall it was just really pretty to watch.
yeah. Mappa, you
Yeah.
guys did a good
Also,
job.
you guys, let us know like if you did watch this movie, what's your take cuz I'm really curious to see and hear like other people's opinions about the whole what happened in the end. Are they
Mhm.
forever stuck in there? Like, did they disappear or what happened?
Yeah. I wanna know too.
And of course, as always, be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Anime Sekai Podcast. And stay tuned next week for another episode. Woo woo.
Yay!
Thank you guys. We love you. And we will see you back hopefully next week.
Thanks, guys. Catch you next
Bye.
week. Bye, guys.